Question 49. The tongue. The tongue is a muscular organ and is an organ of deglutition, of taste, and of speech. It is composed of muscles covered by lingual aponeurosis and by lingual mucosa. The tongue is subdivided into body and root. It has a dorsum surface and an inferior surface. The surfaces meet in margins, and the margins meet in the apex. The dorsum is oriented towards the palate. The dorsum of the body is oriented towards the palate, and dorsum of the root is oriented backwards into the pharynx. This is the epiglottis. The oral and pharyngeal parts are separated by a V-shaped sulcus terminalis. V-shaped. And the dorsum is grooved by median sulcus. And underneath this we have a lingual septum that divides the tongue in two. Goes through the tongue that way. Back here we have lingual tonsils and lingual glands. The dorsum has lingual papillae, while the inferior surface have no papillae at all. And it's connected to the floor of the mouth by frenulum linguae. Now the lingual papillae, we have 4 types. First one is filiform papillae. So these ones. These are the most numerous ones. And they are long and slender in shape. Next one is fungiform papillae. They are scattered irregularly and are round in shape. Next one is foliate papillae. They are leaf-like in shape. We don't have one on this picture. And they are situated on the margins of the tongue. You can see the name foliate papillae on the margin. The last one is circumvallate papillae. They are situated in the front of sulcus terminalis. They are large and round and from 8 to 12 in numbers. Here you have 1 and 2. This one contains taste buds. This is a histological section. This is a taste bud. And also these white dots are taste buds. Now the muscles of the tongue, you have 2 types. You have intrinsic and extrinsic. The intrinsic ones are longitudinalis, superior and inferior, that goes along the length of the tongue. The function is it narrows and elongates the tongue. No, the longitudinalis shorten the tongue. And the next one is transverse muscle. Goes like this. And here you have the septum linguae that divides the tongue. So you have one transverse muscle here and one there. And this one narrows and elongates the tongue. And the last intrinsic is the verticalis. And the function is it flattens and broadens the tongue. They go this direction, vertical direction. And then you have extrinsic muscles. And they are all inserted into the intrinsic muscles. And the intrinsic muscles are attached to lingual aponeurosis and to the lingual septum. Now the extrinsic muscles, the first one is genioglossus. It's this one. It originates on the spine of mandible and inserts into the intrinsic muscles. And it pulls the tongue forwards and downwards. Next one is the hyoglossal muscle. It originates on the hyoid bone and inserts into the intrinsic muscles, and it pulls the tongue down and backwards. The next extrinsic muscle is styloglossal muscle. This one. It originates on the styloid process and inserts into the intrinsic muscles. And this one draws the tongue up and backwards. The last extrinsic muscle is the palatoglossal muscle. This one. It originates on the palatine aponeurosis and inserts into the intrinsic muscles. This is also a palatine muscle. And this one elevates the root of the tongue, as upwards. Now the blood supply of the tongue is lingual artery from the external carotid artery. See this one? Goes underneath the mandible. And then lastly we have the nerve supply. Well, the motor nerve supply is the hypoglossal nerve, the cranial nerve, the 12th cranial nerve. For sensory we have 3 different nerves. For in the body we have trigeminal nerve for general sensation, cranial nerve number 5, and facial nerve number 7 for gustation or taste. In the root of the tongue, the glossopharyngeal nerve is the sensory nerve for both general and taste.